Do you believe the phrase, not all money is good money? Or just because you can doesn't mean you should? I mean, some of you are thinking, no, all money is for me. If it comes to me, it's got to be for me. Well, when you start to become her, the cost of becoming is the cost that you're willing to pay because you internally know when your yes is a hell yes and your no is a hell no. I want you to begin to trust yourself so deeply that you know that the money that's supposed to come to you is supposed to be right. And what's not is not. And I want you to be so confident and so courageous to stand on that truth and to speak it clearly without explanation, apology, or afterthought. That's what we're going to be talking about today in today's video. You do not want to miss this. I say, as always, get your corporate besties. If you run yourself an employee resource group for women, this is something that you want to get around the table because you need to work on becoming her. It's your full time job. I'll see you inside the video. Okay. So I said that not all money is good money because when I let go of that $15,000 contract, I knew it wasn't right. Like, I really knew it wasn't right. And some of y'all know promotions that you're thinking about, moving from one position to the next, jumping from one company to the next just for the money. Mm, it's not right. And you also need to trust that there is an internal knowing that knows it's not right. So let me get into my story because here's the thing. It's been a little bit of time for your girl making the revenue happen. Okay. Let's just say that the math has not always been mathing, okay, on the P&L. And my husband would say, and that would be a for sure yes. But what I do know is I believe that there's just nothing but abundance. There's just complete abundance, that my profit is going to increase. My income is going to keep going higher and higher because it already has. It just hasn't hit my bank account. And because I've become more of what I know I am due to what I'm going to talk to you about in a minute, it gave me the confidence to say no to a recent contract. So, without divulging all of the details, because it's partly confidential, I was given an opportunity to do some work by a very, very good friend, a trusted referral. And when she told me a little bit about it, she said, "You're going to be hearing from someone, be on the lookout." And when the person then finally contacted me, I wasn't sure at first if it was from my friend. That was kind of like a little ding ding. Why wouldn't they say, by the way, so and so referred you to us so that we could kind of get rid of all the noise? Like, because I don't trust everybody who steps up into my LinkedIn. You know what I'm saying? Just like I know people don't trust me right when they step in. But like, just say who you are. Okay, Diana. Okay, stay focused. So that was like a little bit of a red flag for me, right? When you are starting to become who you are, you start paying attention, not from a paranoid perspective. You're just aware. Things kind of, that's interesting, right? You just start to kind of like say that, right? When it does become something that you should be aware of. So we enter into conversation. We talk about this referral. I thank my referral source, and we begin to work on what we need to work on to go towards the contract. This individual, while certainly there was some leadership qualities that needed tending to, there were a lot of things that needed to be done because that's why they were hiring me. Like, see, I knew they were hiring me because they lacked certain types of skill sets and general leadership principles. And it was my job, right, to eventually work with them with that understanding. However, There were so many factors leading me to this thought that if this is happening now, what's it going to be like in a month or two? And some of y'all know that with relationships, right? You sitting there like, why is he not texting me back, calling me back? Or why is she not texting me back or calling me back? And then, there are all these things that inside of yourself. This is not lining up with my values. And that was what was happening in this particular situation. So, what I needed to do was get on the phone, even before I even had the contract, and say things like, it would just be helpful if you could just say, because we knew we were headed toward a contract, but I needed to clear the air and say that if you could let me know that you need some time to think about this. This will help me so I'm not constantly sending you things. This is different than when people they first connect with you and there's some assumption that you owe them a reply when they haven't even established the relationship first. Here in this particular case, we've established the relationship. We clearly know where we're going. We clearly know we're trying to get to this end goal. These are the steps that we need to take just to even get the contract signed. You hear me? So we had the conversation, everything came through. Then I got a document. I asked for some documents in order for me to assess where we needed to go. And my email was ignored. I got some of the documents, but I didn't get all of them. And when I asked for the documents again, they were saying, well, we think that that isn't prudent for us to give to you because we have to go through an act of God. It just seemed like this overwhelming thing when in reality it wasn't, simply because I knew from my perspective, being someone who has the expertise in consulting, what we need to proceed. And if that is the case, let's sign a confidentiality agreement and then just be done with it, right? And it just lingered on. Now, to stop boring you with the details, because you like, okay, Diana, get to the point. Here's the thing. Like, there were all of these daggone red flags. But because I was sitting here thinking, well, this is my friend. She referred me to the contract. You know how you do. This is my friend. She referred me to the contract. You doing the math, right? You're trying to add up the cost of what it's going to be like to be truthful with yourself. But in your experience and your understanding where you want to be, because people who become, they have already outlined the type of behavior that they are willing to endure to become what it is that they want, right? So we've already gone through these steps of analyzing things and knowing that, you might have to say no to something that seems logical on paper, but it don't make sense to you. The math does not math to you. And it's not just because necessarily on the outside of these factors. Because, other people will say, no big deal to me. But because your voice, your thoughts, your ideas, where you want to go doesn't add up, that's all that matters. No explanation, no scientific formula, no other votes matter. It's your voice and it's your inner knowing that needs to be at peace with it. And so that's what I was doing. I was actually practicing my own passion, which is an acronym that we use all the time in our Rise Advocates movement. I was practicing passion often. Let me give you the acronym. P is for pause. I was pausing quite a bit and assessing. A is for assess. I was assessing quite a bit. And I was getting space, which is the first S in passion. I was getting space, thinking these things through. And every single time, it did not add up to my equation of becoming. You see, we all have an equation for ourselves that have to add up for us. And when I counted all the costs, that didn't add up to me. Whether they offered me 15,000, 100,000, and then it was getting a little higher, we might think it through differently if I was willing to endure that, you see. I'm like, you're going to have to pay me at least $150,000 to do this contract. because of the emotional labor and the tax that it was going to have me have to deal with for like following up on simple deliverables that should have been done because the deliverables weren't being done even before the contract. You see what I'm saying? Like I'm like, okay, you done been down this road before. How many times you need to get beat over the head for you to understand that this is a no for me or it's a yes for me? Which leads me to this understanding. We have to be so clear on our becoming that we're willing to get ourselves in the driver's seat of our lives, to have the courage, to have the forethought, to have the understanding what is right for you is right for you. And what is not right for you is not right for you. And oftentimes, here's what I'm telling you, you keep ignoring the signals. You keep ignoring them because you want it to happen, but you keep ignoring it. And as a result, you wind yourself doing stuff that you don't even want to do. Am I right or am I right? I know I'm right. This happens to all of us. And until we draw a line in the sand, we make a decision that this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. And this is what we're going to do. Make a freaking decision. This is the point. Make a decision and stop having what I'm talking about, like Brene Brown was talking about this vulnerability hangover. Like I'm talking about you keep having this decision hangover. Well, the next day, well, it's, make a decision. Go with that decision. Trust yourself. You see, when you make yourself your own full-time job, like you spend the majority of your time working on yourself, getting quiet, listening to the small, still voice of God that is within you, telling you that there is something deeper that is calling you. Like there's something so deep and profound that it's like you can actually go through life and then like go nope, nope, yes, yes, no, no. Like because if you don't know how to shut that off, stop looking at that distraction. Stop being sucked in. Stop looking at the news constantly and scrolling through social media. The same thing is happening to you, like you're so bogged down with so many different like files open. It is really hard to make a decision, especially if you got the disease to please. Y'all got the disease to please. How many of y'all got that? It's because it's a disease because you don't feel at ease. You're constantly shuffling and like slurring your words because you don't have clarity within your heart about your becoming. And when you get clear with that, it makes the decisions easier. Yeah, I mean, like, you're like, well, there you go. That $15,000 would sure sound nice. Yeah, but that $15,000 is going to cost you another $50,000 of your mental load. Mm. How you like them apples? They don't sound right, right? They rotten. You can't even put that in the pie and bake it. Because your pie gonna be nasty. You see what I'm saying? So this is what I need you to understand. So here's what I like to say. As I said at the beginning of the video, I said, I want you to make your yes a hell yes. This is a yes for me. And I'm willing to endure these things because I've counted the cost. Or this is a no for me. And I'm willing to forego that immediate rush, right? Of might give me a little quick dopamine, but you're going to have some claws straight up in your back every single time you try to walk away. You be like, whoop, come back here. Be like, whoop, there it is. Because every single time you're going to be like reminded of why you should have said no, okay, yes, or either one, right? I don't even know where I'm at. I just got caught up in that song. Oop, there it is. Oop, there it is. so, Sometimes I be thinking about songs and I get distracted because I'm like, shaka laka shaka. Anyways, you know where I'm going with this, right? So you really have to understand that your yes has to be that yes and your no has to be that no. And it has to be a hell yes and a hell no. Not this, well, I don't know. What do you think? Well, I don't know. I was kind of thinking, and you go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. That ping pong that you keep playing with your mind is exhausting. And that's costing you time. Time is not something you will ever get back, my friend. So I want you to understand becoming her is a privilege and an honor because you have outlined the values that make up who you are, the behaviors that you want to see from those values, and you take action from those values. You don't take action from shiny object syndrome. Just because something looks a certain way, just because it walks a certain way, don't mean that you should bring that thing into your existence, into your realm. You feel me? Because just because you can don't mean that you should. Just because I can go out and eat these foods because I'm not competing for a bodybuilding competition. I know, sidebar, like why is she talking about bodybuilding? Because I'm about to say something to you. Because just because I'm not in the middle of competing for a bodybuilding competition doesn't mean that I just go out there and have like, two pieces of carrot cake from Jay Alexander's, which sounds amazing, but that doesn't mean that I should go out there and do that. You feel me? Just because I can doesn't mean that I should. So just because I can go ahead and sign a contract doesn't mean that I should sign that contract. And this is something that leads us to clarity when we are willing to take the time to do that. So now I want to ask you something, and this is something I would love for you to put in the comments because this is an authentic power strategy like nothing else. Making your yes a hell yes and your no a hell no. When was the time when you said yes and you should have said no? When was the time you should have said no, but you said yes? Did you pick that up? And I really want you to clarify that because did you ignore some of the signs? Did you just say, well, I just need it? I need that right now. And you went for instant, immediate gratification because it got you over a certain hump. Then you learned from something. It's not failure. I mean, failure may be what it came down to, but you didn't give up, right? I want you to learn from situations and to understand how you can do better the next time. And when the next time comes around and it smells the same, looks the same, and you know, if it quacks like a duck, then it's a duck, then you need to really kind of say, I don't even know why I said that. Quacks like a duck. It's a duck. Well, it is, but I'm just saying that you should stop with that. And I know that Oprah Winfrey often references Maya Angelou, where Maya Angelou says that when people tell you who they really are, believe them. There's something to be said for that, right? People can change, people do change. I am a witness. But when the red flags are there and you choose to ignore them, that's on you, babe. That's on you, my sis. That's on you. And we got to own that. So share that in the comments. And I would love to hear what you would think about today's commentary, this authentic power strategy, right? And, where were the times where you had to give it up? So please share that in the comments. I would love to hear from you. And yes, my friends, I am an amateur bodybuilder, not for long, because I'm on the road to the pros, meaning that I've decided to pursue a bodybuilding competition to earn my pro card. And my next competition is going to be coming up by the recording of this video. This is August of 2026. My next bodybuilding competition is in October of 2026, and I cannot wait to go to Detroit, Michigan to compete for my pro card. Now, when the first time I did it, I was just like, I'm just gonna go in here and just be my best. And I just felt the energy of people competing. But when I got done with that, I'm making my yes a hell yes to go to this next competition. So I am on what I call the road to the pros. And I would love for you to travel along the road to the pros with me, because it's along with my promotion of my next book called Strength in Menopause. And this strength in menopause is as a result of all the learning that I got from, traveling to losing the weight at 58 years old and competing in my very first bodybuilding competition and getting second, one spot away from my pro card in what they call the open. And this is natural bodybuilding competition, like no drugs. They actually give you a lie detector test. And if you win, you got to take a urinalysis. I'm like, sign me up for that, because my value is integrity and responsibility. And I love that. So I'm on the road to the pros. And I say that because I made my yes a clear yes. I am willing to pay the cost of becoming her, because I've always visualized myself being on any stage, really, but this bodybuilding stage, this is something I've thought about before. I had these other things go through my mind, but now it's a hell yes for me. So I would like you to join me on this journey. And if you're listening to this video and it's past October 17th, 2026, then you can still pick up my ebook. And we will have a link for that, for the strength in menopause. We're going to be continuing to do so many things in 2027 and beyond, with competitions of our own nature, and really learning how we can continue to become the woman that we want to be, but with strength in menopause. I hope today's video was helpful to you. I hope that you walked away with some encouragement and some steps that you can take in getting clear on making your yes a yes and your no a no, and understanding that the cost of becoming her, of becoming the greatest version of yourself, is always worth it, no matter the cost. All right, my friends, thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. This is your authentic power strategy.